What products are doing well on Amazon in 2025? Go.
Top one, Chinese sellers.
Wait. I saw a video on YouTube of a guy going into Walmart to the clearance section, buying toothbrushes for $4, then posting them on Amazon for $10. Don't tell me he didn't make $3,000 extra money that month. Replace the word algorithm with audience. Do you think that applies to Amazon too? Hello guys, and welcome to the Invent With Me podcast, where each week we guide aspiring inventors and product creators to turn their innovative ideas into reality. Learn valuable tips and insights from people roughing it in the field of inventing so that you yourself can make your mark in the world. I'm your host, Grant, inventor of Torque Strap, a killer new spring-loaded cargo strap, a strap so easy to use, you just pull. And with me in the studio today, from Spain, a very special guest, Alfonso Gutierrez. He is a professional Amazon growth, Amazon
growth partner.
He is an Amazon growth partner. And yes, you're sitting here wondering to yourself, how'd you get this guy in here? He is Torque Strap's exclusive Amazon growth partner. How you doing, Alfonso?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Grant.
Of course, man. I think it's important for our listeners to understand that you don't have to be an expert in Amazon. You don't have to be an expert in Shopify. You just need to know enough to be dangerous in each of these realms. And what I mean is you know how to find someone like Alfonso and ask the right questions.
Yeah.
So let's go over the right questions. But first, I want to get your background because you worked for Amazon for a brief amount of time, right? So tell me about your Amazon background and what made you make the shift.
Yeah. So surprisingly enough, I'm actually a telco engineer. So at first glance, not related to marketing at all. And the reason I got into Amazon and marketing in general is because right after I finished my undergrad in telco engineer, I got into Amazon as a product manager. And I was on the vendor central side. So, we'll probably get into that a little further in the podcast. But there's a seller central, which is third-party sellers, and there's first-party sellers, so Amazon selling directly, which is vendor central. And that's where I worked for, I don't think I even reached a year before I kind of got this feeling of being this little ant in this huge system, and is when I decided to actually try to help smaller brands and have more impact in the brands I was managing. Mm-hmm. And that's how I eventually came across Amazon, learned on Amazon a lot, but I definitely learned more when I started actually helping smaller brands scale to 7 and 8 figures.
So you didn't like the 9-to-5 thing about working for Amazon, right?
I think there's a profile that really thrives in that environment. I consider myself a free thinker and a creative person, also with a certain level of ambition. Mm-hmm. And on Amazon, I was feeling like anyone could be replaced by anyone.
You felt like a number. I
felt like a number, exactly. Like anyone could be replaced by anyone, and Amazon per se wouldn't even notice. So I wanted to have more impact in my life. I wanted to have a more meaningful job and meaningful life, and that's why I decided to go solo, essentially.
Well, I'm glad you did, because you saved my ass. Amazon accounts for 50% of my business sales.
For now.
What's that?
For now.
For now, yeah. Not if you have anything to do about it. This guy over here, he's like, come on, sell more on Amazon, Grant. Listen, my business is designed to sell 50% on Amazon, 50% on Shopify. I learned very early on that you have to diversify where your efforts are. Instagram could close tomorrow. TikTok, as we all know, is on unstable grounds. Selling platforms may not be different. Shopify servers drop for 12 hours at a time sometimes, and my sales are shut off, but I have Alfonso to pick up the slack. Amazon can shut you down for the most minute reasons. No one knows that more than you. The point I'm getting at is diversify, and if you guys want to learn how to diversify, jump in the show notes, hop on my Patreon. On there, you're going to see a really simple how-to guide of how to 50-50 split your sales between Shopify and Amazon. And another cool thing is Alfonso is now in the Discord, which you can access through the Patreon. And Alfonso will be there to give deep effing value for all your Amazon questions. But listen closely, because we're going to answer them all today. You better not get in there and ask something that we already talked about.
Be happy to answer regardless. But.
All right. Well, that's good of you.
And by the way, just to kind of also give my point of view, I just got here today. I think Grant told me this one thing that I consider a hack with the organic hack that you told me about the videos. And so like 3 minutes in, I've already learned something that I didn't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. If you want to learn how to shoot one video and turn it into 2 completely unique posts, the same exact video. I could take a video of my toe right now, and you may take a video of your toe, post it once, it doesn't go viral, and maybe I'll shoot another video.
Yeah. I
can post that same video twice, make it appear unique to the platforms, and now I just doubled my chance of going viral that day.
Crazy.
You shoot 3 videos and you post them all twice. You can post 6 times a day with this principle. Hop on to Patreon. I got a video. I'm going to explain it all. Very simple stuff. It's just, you can't explain it in a podcast, right?
Yeah.
What products are doing well on Amazon in 2025? Go.
Top 1, Chinese sellers.
Really?
Yep. I would say that the problem, like I work with brands that have been doing Amazon for nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
And they were doing great. But now there's such a high influx of Chinese sellers coming in that, you know, it's good for the consumers because we're essentially getting lower prices, which, you know, everyone wants lower prices.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos said, what is not going to change in 10 years? People are going to want lower prices. That's
True.
the case. So that's a good thing for us, but it's a pretty bad thing for sellers because you don't have the manufacturer leverage because they're their own manufacturers. So you have to basically compete against direct manufacturers for price, which is a certain death for non-Chinese sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say number 1 is Chinese sellers, and number 2, and I think this is where things are gravitating towards, and why I think that your brand, Torque Strap, makes a lot of sense and has the potential to make it big, is very, very highly differentiated and defendable products.
Mm.
So whether that's a patented product like the Torque Straps, or a product in a niche that's highly regulated. And by highly regulated, I just mean a certain level of bureaucracy that you have to go through in order to sell that product. I don't know the exact niches that would be in the US because I'm from Europe, so I'm more accustomed to those types of things.
You were right earlier about saying like medical equipment.
Medical equipment, usually like food stuff, like
Food
FBA
stuff,
approved stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. So basically what you're saying is everybody knows it and feels it and they're scared of it that Chinese sellers are infiltrating the US Amazon, beating us on price because they have manufacturer pricing. However, and you told me 2 principles. Well, you get around that by inventing and having something, even if it's not patented, something just unique, something they're not willing to try, and you dominate the market for a year. You're always going to have better rankings than them, even when they knock you off. And number 2 is a highly regulated market. A good example is after my wife gave birth, she had a C-section, and the doctors kept telling her, you need to breathe into this device to really expand your lungs. Otherwise, you could get pneumonia based on all the drugs you're on and what you just went through. You've had, I think it's like regulated breathing, self-inflicted regulated breathing, that could cause pneumonia. Mm-hmm. So every 5 minutes, we want you to breathe into this device. And it's this piece of plastic with a little ball inside. And if you breathe out hard enough, you hold the ball of the past level, right? This is a plastic device that a hospital is not going to allow to a hospital is not going to allow the buyer of that, the director of that hospital, to buy Chinese, unregulated, unapproved breathing things. Meanwhile, for us Americans, that's a slam dunk. That's a piece of plastic.
Yep.
You take it to a certification, you take it to a U.S. lab, and then your brand, your company, your logo, your name is certified to distribute that into U.S. hospitals.
Yeah.
China's not going to be able to do that. And then I think the third big advantage we have as U.S. sellers versus China is we speak English and we're just way better at selling products to Americans.
Yeah. No, I think that is one of the most important points about building a brand. I work with this other brand in Spain, and the CEO is actually Chinese of the brand. But they basically put their headquarters in Spain and like kind of be closer to Europe. And they were doing Amazon as Chinese sellers would, right? With their way of speaking.
Yes.
The listings, for example, were all in English, despite being in Spain, Germany, France, Italy, whatever. And the visual and the way that I think in China, the branding works and the product perception works is very different to Europe and the US. And we were basically able to convert that brand into the biggest brand in the niche, which is a very competitive and very highly Chinese-heavy niche. And we were able to turn around just by changing how we speak to the customer and actually addressing what we as Spanish or European buyers want to see and what we give importance to. So I think that's a very big advantage about being like native of where you sell.
Yeah, you have such a advantage over them. Price is not everything. When you're an inventor, price is now your friend. It's not your enemy. When you're a flip-flopper, wholesaler, white labeler, private labeler, whatever, you're trying to buy something from China, bring it here and sell it. Why wouldn't they just buy it from the Chinese seller?
Yeah.
But if you have your own spin on it, definitely your own branding and logo, and by brand, I mean what you stand for, functionality, hopefully that's something you could potentially patent, or it's just so tricky that they're not going to knock you off because it doesn't seem worth it. That gives you the runway to dominate them on Amazon.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it varies a lot depending on the niche. For example, in your niche, I think what you're appealing to is functionality and convenience. In another niche, for example, in this niche that I was talking about, it's an electric scooter brand. And the way that they're able to differentiate from Chinese sellers is the fact that they have repair workshops in Spain. They're the only brand in Europe that has like national repair shops all over the country. So they have like 80 repair shops.
Yeah.
And that's it's a big inconvenience for electric scooters buyers, for your scooter to break down and then you have to like send it to somewhere which is like 2 weeks away. You have to like spend a month without your scooter. And it's like, I just bought this. Like, I really just either want a replacement, which is hard because it's, you're not going to get a replacement for like a $300, $400 scooter.
Yeah.
Or that. So I think it's a matter of, okay, if you don't invent something, what leverage can you find that is going to differentiate you from first comers? So people that want to maybe start on Amazon that maybe don't have that leverage, or Chinese sellers. And it could be something like an invention. It could be something like just having national or better support. So anything that is going to help you really stand out and also justify higher pricing. I feel like that's also a big problem with Amazon. It's what we have in the background. Fees just keep increasing, and if
they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, and I don't know what's going to happen if more competition is going to come in, like Amazon competitors.
Yeah.
But if you're not able to justify that higher pricing, you might as well just drown in fees and lose money every month, which I've also seen some bigger sellers having to go through.
It's terrifying, man. Well, walk a new inventor who he or she is hesitant. They've made a couple hundred units, or maybe they've ordered a couple hundred units. Where do they start on Amazon? It costs $40 to sign up, right? So I'm good. $40 and I'm on Amazon.
Yeah, it's. I think at the beginning, the price that you pay is your time.
Yeah.
Because you probably don't have that much capital.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have capital, I would just. You have to decide: are you willing to spend money or spend time?
Right.
And spending money maybe means launching a brand in 1 month, and spending time could mean like 3 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I think the basics on Amazon, assuming that you've already opened your account, which you go on. I can't remember the exact URL, if it's sellercentral.amazon.com or start, but you search create an Amazon Seller Central account, and you just have to follow the steps. So once you've actually opened your account, it's a matter of uploading your catalog, which at the beginning will probably be rather small, like 1 to 5 or let's say 10 products.
I'm going to say, let's just stick with one item. These people have one item they want to sell.
Yeah.
And we'll get into why that's, how you can expand on that later. But yeah, one item.
Yeah. So I think the basics on Amazon is, one, thinking and obsessing about what your customers need to or want to know, who you're competing against, and what you're going to do in order to get someone that doesn't know about you, that's just going to see your product randomly, actually decide to purchase a new product versus one that has, let's say, 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 reviews. So I think that exercise of, before you start doing anything, before you like try to get reviews, before you do anything, it's a matter of how do I position my product. I would recommend going on Amazon and acting as your potential customer. So searching for what you would search as one of your customers, going on all the products on the first page, through all of their listing images, through all of their copy, their A+, which we'll also go into what that is exactly, and just figuring out, okay, what are these guys selling, and how can I sell better and convince a person to buy my product instead of the other one. And the reason this is so important is because the first thing that you're going to do when you upload your product is you're going to create a title. If you have a brand registered, which you probably should, you're going to register your brand on brand registry, which is also from Amazon. You're going to upload bullet points, and you're going to create listing images. So to summarize, you have a brand, you upload the product, you create a title, you create bullet points, and you create the whole backend, which is description, backend keywords, which is a little more technical, but let's just stick to the basics.
Yeah.
And I think the two most important assets on Amazon, disregarding price, are the listing images and the title. So think of Amazon as a journey where people are already kind of warm. They're already looking for a solution, and they have to decide first to click your product and then to buy your product.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the first part, which is you have to convince people to click your product. The main drivers, disregarding pricing and coupons or whatever, is your main image and your title. So a quick hack that is not really a hack because everyone already knows about this, but Amazon says that your main image can only be your product raw with a white background.
Sure.
That's not 100% true. You have to trick the Amazon image reading algorithm to think that what you're putting on the image actually belongs to the product. So some examples are a lot of brands put their packaging behind, and they use that real estate to put like your main keyword. Let's say you're selling tie-down straps. You would have a big box, which is your packaging, and it says tie-down straps in big. Maybe the workload as well, or the breaking strength. And let's say you offer a 2-year warranty or a lifetime warranty. You could use a side of the packaging to put lifetime warranty.
Just Photoshop that stuff in there?
It doesn't, like, I've seen some crazy examples of things that are not real, like not even like the full packaging is a render. Like
the packaging
doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Well, people don't really care to a certain extent, but they don't really care too much about if the packaging is a little different to the main image. So what I mean to say is you can do a lot of work if you go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what you can do with your main image to differentiate yourself from the hundreds of listings that are on the first page. So that's step one. In our case, we did a cutout of the spring, so people don't only just see
dissected view, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They don't only see like a raw strap that has like this weird red part that you don't really know what it is. You like actually see the stretched out spring, and people are like, this is at least interesting.
It piques interest.
And you click on it.
Or it encourages you to read the title.
Exactly.
Do you know, like, is there a science behind it? Do people see image first, then read title, or is it the other way around?
They see image first. I would say image and price are more or less on the same level. I would even say main image first, then price, And if those two work, you would read the title.
That's interesting. I love the psychology of that because every time I post a video on YouTube, this episode, for example, I'm thinking, what image do I want them to see to pique their interest?
Right.
And for example, it may be a beautiful picture of Alfonso saying, the only way is inventing. It's like, I'm an inventor. I'd like to think that inventing is the only way I'll get success. I'm going to read this title. And then the title satisfies what that thumbnail says. All these platforms work the same way. They live off of image and they convert with title.
100%.
But it all has to work symbiotically. You can't say, I'm going to have a killer thumbnail and a title that says, F yeah. No, they need more. But they also don't need too much. You can't just pack it with keywords.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's something that we also see, just a bunch of keyword stuffing in the main image where you can't really read stuff. People think that, because we have to remember that if you're scrolling through your phone or if you're on desktop, you're probably seeing it when you're doing it on Photoshop or Canva or wherever you're doing it. You're probably seeing it bigger than it actually ends up being. And turns out 100% or 50% of the text that you thought was going to be readable in the main image isn't.
Yeah.
So the simpler and the more straightforward it is, the better. We also have to think as a society, we're trending more towards TikTok, Reels, Shorts, which is 5-second hook or 3-second hook or 1-second hook even. And people just don't have the mental bandwidth and just the concentration to read more than 2 seconds. So it has to be clearly differentiable in a blink of an eye.
I heard something really interesting. I don't know if you'll believe it. They say 13 milliseconds on an image.
13 milliseconds.
13 milliseconds. That's what you get with an image now.
That's crazy.
Our brains are so trained to identify what we do and don't want.
Wow.
It is insane. I've become such a thumbnail and main image scientist at this point. I don't understand it, but I'll thumb through YouTube and you know how you kind of brainlessly thumb through?
Yeah.
And maybe 1 in 7 catches you. When that one catches me, I hyper analyze it. And the trend used to be the more clickbaity it is, bright white teeth, glowing skin, cartoonish look, the very Mr. Beast-esque.
Yeah.
People are kind of drifting away from those and the text too. People are kind of drifting away from those. Now people are clicking on a very simple image of an old guy on a recliner about to talk. And they think, maybe I do want to hear what this old guy has to say. This sounds like a good break from my day.
Yeah.
I'm going on a tangent, but 13 milliseconds for the image. Then they check the price. Then they read the title. You said, don't keyword stuff it. Keep it simple. I did. When Steven first got hired, he didn't like how many keywords I had in my title. So he made it less than 200 characters. Is that a no-no? Yes.
I think on Amazon, you also have to look at the fact that it's a search engine. So you have to also take SEO into account. And this is going a little more technical. But keywords are essentially, because you mentioned the word keywords are essentially what words are people likely to find my product through.
Yeah.
So especially when you're starting, the keywords that you stuff in there are essentially to let Amazon's algorithm know what you are. And my opinion, and this is a bit of there's 2 waves of thought. My opinion is that once Amazon's algorithm knows what you are, SEO isn't that important. So you can gradually include more relevant text. Like right now we're including self-tensioning and adapting to load shift and all that. And also we have to think about the fact that when you're scrolling through Amazon, through the search results, on the mobile app, you're only seeing the first, I think it's 60 to 70 characters, depending on what phone you have. So the relevant information and the human readable information should be stacked up front. So why are they going to click on your product? Oh, it's self-tensioning. That's interesting. Oh, it's spring-loaded. That's interesting. Oh, it's US patented. That's interesting. It adapts to load shifts. That should be readable in the first, let's call it 60 characters of the title. So that's when you're speaking to the human. The rest of that is very focused on one, lower down the funnel. So people are actually going to take the time to read the specs, like the brake strength or whatever it may be. And you're also heavily speaking to the algorithm.
Mhm.
And that's when you find, more keyword stuffing in the descriptions, in the bullet points, and the backend keywords, which aren't really visible, but that's what they're there for. So you also have to think that Amazon is a marketplace where historically you thrived on keyword stuffing. Interestingly enough, and this is pretty new, they released Rufus, which is an AI shopping, what would you call it? Like a shopping assistant?
Guide.
Yeah. And it's basically an AI that suggests questions that a customer would ask of your product. For example, can my product be used on kayaks? If you have kayaks nowhere to be seen on your listing, an AI is not even going to be able to figure out that your product is going to be relevant for that keyword. So we're also seeing this trend, which you never know where it's going with AI, but it's called semantic SEO, where instead of focusing on keyword stuffing, you're focusing on giving as much context of the product as possible, so that the AI can get a human query like, "Hey, I want to go on a trip and I'm taking my kayak on the back of my truck. Like, what do you recommend I buy?" And if your product has enough semantic information for the AI to understand that your product would be a fit for that query, that's what I think SEO on Amazon is gravitating towards too.
Interesting.
So your title might be a little more descriptive of a problem instead of just stuffing it with keywords in the upcoming month or next year when we actually see Rufus go out of beta and become mainstream.
Nice. Now the ongoing theme on I talk about YouTube all the time. I'm just a creative guy. I'm not a numbers guy, nothing else. I'm a little bit of an engineer, not certified. The big buzz statement is replace the word algorithm with audience. Do you think that applies to Amazon too? Here's an example. I'm going to create this title because I bet the algorithm will like this.
Yeah.
Could I replace that word with audience?
I would say no.
Really?
And here's the reason why. And I find this to be a genius move by Amazon. But essentially, Amazon has the biggest base of 1P data, from Amazon native platforms.
What, 1P data?
Yeah. So Amazon has Amazon.com,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, Twitch, Fire TV. So they have so much data on users that you can leverage. They basically have the most robust audiences. They're able to know what your household income is based on the data and what you watch and how much you spend on Prime. And they're literally able to craft audiences where you have the range of household income, if they're married, if they're single.
The boomers are burning their computers right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Alexa's listening to and the reason why in this stage I don't consider audience and algorithm interchangeable is because you really don't leverage audiences on Amazon until you're a certain size. So the way to leverage audiences on Amazon would be to do DSP, which is DSP is the equivalent to Facebook ads, but for Amazon. And you have to be I would say in multiple 7-figure or 8-figure brand for it to actually make sense and have a big enough team to be able to handle that level of marketing data, or through target display categories, stuff like that, where you can target audiences, let's say. But those numbers and that reach compared to the reach that you're going to get by just pure raw keyword searches and that level of volume is where the money is at and where you should put 100% of your focus, at least at the start.
Okay, so less humanizing. I hate to say that, but it sounds like a little less humanizing, a little more algorithmizing in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because you got to get picked up by the system before you get picked up
by humans. And we also have to think, okay, how often have you read all of the bullet points out of, let's say, the last 10 times that you bought something? how many times have you read all 5 bullet points that were?
I'll scroll through it all, but I swear I'm just looking for, like, if I don't see the one statement that I was looking for, it's usually size, weight, length. I can hyper find that in a matter of a few seconds. The rest of it's all garbage. It's all throwaway crap.
Exactly. So that's, we spoke about main image, we spoke about title. Now let's speak about listing images and bullet points. So I think the bullet points should be where the majority of the information is, and make it readable to someone that wants to dive deeper and wants to basically read through the bullet points. I personally tend towards making the first phrase of the bullet points as descriptive and as possible, which is probably going to be what 80% of people read. Only the first, like all caps or whatever your method of visually separating that is. And working at Amazon, this was surprising, but at the same time, not at all. We had like actual data from Amazon itself that suggested that, I think at that point, like back in 2021, it was like 65% of people just look at the product images before making a purchase decision.
Really?
That means not a single bullet point. They don't even scroll down to read the description or A+ content, which A+ content is essentially an extension of your listing images, where you have like extra real estate for images and text. They don't scroll down. They don't read the bullet points. They just look at the listing images, which if you have a video are 1 main image, 5 listing images, and then the 6th or 7th would be substituted unless you click on it by the video. And out of those 65%, like a crazy number, like 70 or plus 70% would not even reach the 4th image.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, at this point, if you can spend, let's say you have a limited like bandwidth in your brain, like 100% bandwidth, I would dedicate 80% to listing images and 20% to bullet points, and 80% to the first 3 images of your listing.
Now let me throw in a wrench, as we say in the States, monkey wrench. Reviews. A lot of people think just get the damn thing on Amazon, then pimp your friends out to give you reviews.
Yeah.
Do you think your time is well spent, hustling for a couple weeks to get free reviews? Or is it better spent hyper-focusing on the listing and getting organic reviews? Go.
Yeah. So fair point. And this is actually, we spoke about main image, price, and title. I would consider reviews to be at the same level that the main image and price is. So if you're looking for something, it also depends on the niche, right? So some niches, the average is a 4, and then some niches, the average is above 4.3. Like it depends on the niche. But review rating and the amount of reviews is another like key indicator of whether they will click and whether they will buy. So I would include reviews, which I forgot to mention completely, up there with the biggest contributors to success on Amazon.
Well, I'm glad you separated it out, because I was of the mindset in the beginning that it was all about reviews. So I took crummy iPhone images. I made crummy infographics on Keynote myself, which I think you guys can start with if you do it tastefully, and I'll teach you how in the Patreon. But really, I just threw the listing together in a couple days.
Yeah.
And then I went to my buddy Ray at work at LA County. Hey, dude, if I give you $25, will you buy this online for $25? It's costing you nothing. Just leave me a review. Yeah, sure. And you can get 6 or 7 pretty quick.
That's the thing.
But 6 or 7, in a lot of niches, 6 or 7 isn't even a drop in the bucket. No. In some niches, it's a lot better than nothing. Gold mining equipment, for example. When I lived in California, I loved to hobby mine. Very, very niche. A lot of the products I was looking to buy, sluice boxes, buckets, pails, under 40 reviews.
Yeah.
So if there was an item next to it that looked better to me and had 6 reviews and a better listing, I would probably buy it over the 40 review based on the value I thought it would provide.
Yeah, 100%.
Water flossers, 25,000 reviews. That's the people you're up against. So your 6 reviews, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that having one review is, let's say you're getting traffic through PPC, so you're getting paid traffic to your listing.
Yeah.
Having one review is like 80% better. Like you're going to see 80% better results if you have one single review than if you have zero. So that's a proven fact.
Yeah.
And the thing that you were speaking about, if it's worth it, like hustling for like reviews, in my opinion, the upside that you're going to get is relatively small because you're going to have to like reach out to a bunch of people. Like you're better off just going on Vine, which when you create an Amazon account, there's this thing called Amazon Vine, where you basically send products to Amazon warehouses. It has to be FBA, which is Amazon fulfilled by Amazon. So you have to send it to the warehouses. And then you can onboard a certain amount of units to basically gift to people that are not paid, but they are gifted the products chosen by Amazon to leave reviews. So that would be my go-to strategy. You can get a maximum of 30 reviews, and the maximum that you would have to pay is around $200 plus like the actual cost of the product. So I think it's worth the money. I think it's necessary. And there's also a few hacks that you can do to get some reviews, which we've actually done with TorqueStrap.
Yeah.
So one is, let's say, for instance, you have your torque straps and you have a 2-pack and you say, okay, two packs or a 4-pack. You can essentially upload the 2-packs, put that on Vine, and you can upload the 4-packs on a separate listing. So, when on Amazon you buy, you can choose the
variant size.
Variants.
Yeah.
You don't do that at the beginning, which we could go into more detail, but I don't think it's worth it to how to create variants. So you separate them and you onboard them individually on Vine. And instead of getting 30 reviews, you can get 60. And after you get the 60 reviews, you can combine them under the same listing and you essentially have 60 reviews. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you are capped at 30 for Vine.
Yeah. But you can hack it and you can do as many variants as you have.
Yeah.
You could bundle 30 reviews per variant.
Yeah.
I mean, the sky is the limit in that sense.
Yeah. And there's another hack that is a little illegal.
A little shady?
Yeah, a little shady.
I love it. That's what I want.
Which is, let's say you have a 2-pack of the M500 Reds. You can essentially create a listing called M501 Red. And then you do Vine. You upload another listing. You call it size M502 or model M502.
Okay.
So you keep doing that and you can do that indefinitely as long as money allows. Let's say you uploaded 10 M500 and M500 variations, and the last one you upload is actually M500 normal, like M500 Reds. You can essentially get the 300 reviews, you put them all under the same listing, and the way to do this and to make it possible is that let's say you're doing a color variation. If all the products are the same color, so they're all called M500s, you're not going to be allowed to put them under the same variation.
Yeah.
So they do have to be named differently. But once you run out of stock, or you can even deactivate them on Amazon, you could essentially have 10 hidden variations on a listing with 300 reviews that you launched like 2 months ago.
My alarm bells went off when you said that hack. And here's what I want to ask.
I don't recommend this, by the way.
Here's what I want to state. I tried setting up my Amazon myself back in 2021. And I got some sales. I sent some cartons to FBA. I kind of figured that workflow out a bit. But I built my listings on very shaky ground, meaning maybe my SKU didn't quite match up with variant group or variant group 1. I can't even explain it, but I built it on such unstable ground that when Alfonso took over my account, he goes, "What's the deal with the M500 disappearing all the time?" I said, "I don't know. That's why you're here." And we have yet been able to remedy the early damage I did to my account. So speak to building a good foundation of product listings and variants.
Yeah. I wish someone knew what happened to that listing.
It's a mystery, isn't it?
It's a mystery. And I think I've never reached that level of escalation with any support ticket ever. That support ticket went through
Jeff Bezos.
like basically like no one could figure out what was wrong with that listing. We were able to fix it after like speaking with 50 different people. I don't even want to like know how many hours were spent on that. It was temporarily fixed, and now at least we can kind of do something, and like it's active sometimes.
We can kind of jimmy rig it into working when we need it to.
Exactly. But the problem with Amazon is it was built on 90s technology,
Interesting.
and it grew faster than it maybe should have.
Right.
So we have this multi-billion company where they're running a marketplace, which a marketplace technologically isn't that complex.
Yeah.
Okay. And it just breaks the whole time. Like support and Amazon seller support is a big reason why a lot of these Amazon sellers end up giving up, because there's a lot of things that have to go through support because it just breaks, or you're trying to change the title and Amazon's like, yeah, you can't change your title because it's like a identificatory field.
Yeah.
The same way, like you basically have to use support for a lot of things, and 95% of the time, you probably know more than their support.
Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately. Or you've done enough investigating to say, no, I know that doesn't work because Jihad, who I spoke to yesterday, tried the same exact thing, and you're trying to catch these people up. It's a really sucky game to play.
Yeah. And
When you onboard a new client, do you experience that a lot where, like me, they royally misconstrued something? Do you prefer to just start fresh, do it yourself?
I have a certain level of OCD. So I think in order to run a business, you have to be very structured, and like cleanliness and structure has to be the least of your concerns. So the thing that I see the most is just a messed up catalog. So products from like 2018 that you're not even selling, you're not even using for reviews, like to have under the main listing, are just kind of there. SKU names are all over the place. Like you don't have a set naming system for your SKUs. Variations tend to be messed up. Like, so that's a most common thing I see. Also, there's a labeling issue that I've seen even like very seasoned sellers have, which you also had with the M500 2-pack, which was this, you all of a sudden you sent to Amazon warehouses and they're like, yeah, the label wasn't readable.
Right. The barcode, label, whatever. Yeah.
Well, most of the times that I've seen that problem come up, it's not because the label wasn't readable. It's because you just created an Amazon FBA listing. You thought that there was only one way to create it. And all of a sudden, someone like me comes up and you're like, yeah, there's actually two ways to create an FBA listing, either manufacturer barcode or Amazon barcode. And the default sometimes tends to be Amazon barcode. So if you create a listing with Amazon barcode, but you send it without putting a like Amazon sticker on it,
Yeah.
they're gonna have they're not gonna be able to read your products because they expect Amazon barcodes. So it's gonna cost you money to then relabel, and there's like this mismatch, and you're like, what's going on? So I've seen that problem come up a lot, where all of their listings are Amazon FBA barcodes, and we just have to convert them to manufacturer barcode, which means letting the old inventory run out, creating the new ones, and having them live both with inventory at the same time, and then just kind of waiting for the FBA barcoded ones to just kind of run out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've royally scared the living crap out of a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
Let's pull it back and... No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. You need to know what you're up against, because a lot of people think, I'll pop it on, I'll pop a patent on it and get paid. I'll pop it on Amazon, start collecting passive income. There's no such thing as passive income. There's income that's more efficient to make, and inventing and selling is a very efficient way to make money, not 100% passive. So let's go back to listing images. If I came to you and I had some capital, I had 50, 100 grand saved up. So, I'm a pretty serious client. I'm going to be willing to spend some money on Amazon ads, which is PPC, right? And I just say, Alfonso, I have no product images. What do you do with a client like that?
Yeah, no, if someone comes up and they're like, yeah, bring traffic to this listing, just do my PPC, I don't want you to do anything else. 90% of the time, I'm going to say no.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes you get a small client who doesn't want to play ball and you're like, I can't waste my time. But then you have other ones who are like, hey, I really believe in this invention. I got money to back it. I want you to fully be my growth partner. But I have no product images.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So the first thing that I would do is try to get or improve product images.
Yeah.
Whether that's, sometimes the brands that I work with already have a designer. So I'm more of a consultant and kind of walking their designer through what needs to be done specifically for Amazon, which is different than what you would maybe need for a Shopify.
Yeah.
So number one is just get the basics right. Before you start injecting any traffic, you should get the listing images right at least, and then the rest of the assets you can kind of work on. But I think the most important one is listing images. So if someone came up with some capital and they were like, hey, I need to run some ads, the first thing that I would say is, hey, I'm willing to help you run some ads and like bring traffic to this listing. But if we spend $5,000, the efficiency that you're going to get out of this without improving the listing images is going to be drastically lower than if you spend a portion of that on listing images and the rest in on ads, or you just find a way to like make it work. I would be very upfront about it. And if they still decide to go through, I would find a way to maybe do some like minor edits that don't cost us too much time and money to get it running, because at the end of the day, we want our customers to grow. So if we're not providing any growth, whether that's their fault or our fault, it's going to be our fault at the end of the day.
Yeah, the onus is on you. I mean, you look to the nearest manager,
exactly,
and that's where it stops.
So yeah, I would just try to convince them or try to educate them on the importance of listing images and to reconsider before just going crazy on PPC.
Now, where do you draw the line? Because I had images when we started, but they weren't very good. So then you had me take a run at it. I made them 25, 30% better. But you knew in your heart of hearts, I was just missing the mark. So where do you draw the line between like you'll take what the inventor has come up with and expand on it versus, hey, you got to give me something to work with here. So when do you take over?
So just another quick tip. If you do want to test whether your images are any good, you can always use a polling platform like PickFu.
Sure.
And there's a couple of other ones that you can maybe put in the description or something. But there are ways to like try to get some feedback from random people.
Google surveys, maybe?
Google survey. But Google surveys, the problem is that you have to like actually find the people to answer, right? Or is that not?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be inclusive.
I don't know. Like I know there's other ones. I usually just use PickFu. There's a Helium 10 one actually.
Okay.
That recently came up. I don't know if they're white labeling PickFu or what they're doing, but that's also an option. So there's a way to like kind of get a sentiment of what people, or if people are understanding your product, because some products might require more education. Like in your case, you have to basically educate someone that's a ratchet strap fanatic that your strap is going to get similar levels of tension with drastically way less effort.
Yeah.
And that's going to adapt to load shifts. Because unless you actually understand the product, I feel like it's kind of hard to understand in like 2 seconds if you don't actually see it. So it's going to depend drastically on what product you have. But as a general rule of thumb, if I had to like give someone like the simplest answers, is have the most relevant technical specs or features in the first 3 images.
Mm-hmm.
Gravitate towards light backgrounds with branded colors and branded elements, helping out that white background image.
Okay.
And the reason is to just make it cleaner visually for a human and make it easier to read if there is any text. And there's also 2 stages on Amazon images. One is with zoom. So when you click on it, you're able to zoom in.
Right.
Or when you hover over it. And the other is without zoom. So you have to be very mindful about what information you put in the non-zoomed stage, which is going to be where 90% of your users of your potential buyers stay at. They're never going to zoom. And then if they want to dive deeper and they want to like get some like extra information, that's when you might include some smaller information that requires you to zoom in for those like hard buyers that want to go deeper into the specs. So to sum up, first 3 images have to contain your competitive advantage and top features, the reasons why people would buy you essentially, light backgrounds with branding elements contributing to that. And then third is being mindful about the size of the stuff that you put there and that there's 2 stages on Amazon, zoomed in and zoomed out.
Got it. Talk to me about FBM versus FBA. Is it worth it to be on FBA in 2025?
I think the question is not even if it's worth it, it's is it necessary? And I think it is, depending obviously on the product. Some products you might expect the delivery to be in 1 day, like coffee beans or supplements, and maybe with a ratchet strap or a tie-down strap, you might want a maximum in like 1 week because you're leaving on a trip in 1 week and you're kind of trying to get the product not as fast. And then maybe with an electric scooter, you might expect it to like take even longer than that. So FBM is fulfilled by merchant, meaning you're only using Amazon to get the traffic and run the ads, etc. But you're getting the order and you're sending it out to the customer. And FBA means you send out the inventory to an Amazon warehouse or to multiple warehouses now, and they take care of sending it to the customer, some entry-level customer support, which is not really that good, and returns and all that. So all of that you can kind of forget about. Amazon FBM, so fulfilled by merchant, you just pay the commission, 15% sales commission on every sale, and whatever you pay in ads, coupons, whatever it may be. And FBA, you have to pay a monthly storage fee, which is normally cents, so it's not that drastic, and a fulfillment fee, which can be 20% or depending on your price, right, and your size. But you are paying a per unit fulfillment fee to get it shipped out, which in FBM would be the equivalent for you to pay for shipping. Mm-hmm. So you're essentially outsourcing shipping to Amazon, and they simply like charge you whatever it is for shipping, which depending on your size of product, it could even be more efficient to send via FBA. But that's something that you have to do with your product. There's an FBA revenue calculator that you can also look up on the internet and check out the dimensions and all that. And the difference is that on FBM, as a general rule of thumb, or in general, you don't have the Prime label. And on Amazon FBA, you have the Prime label, which means faster delivery and just, peace of mind for the customer. You are able to get a Prime label on FBM, but you have to go through you have to be very diligent in your processing time. So from the time the order gets into the time you ship it out, to your shipping time, so delivery, on-time deliveries, you can essentially get the Prime label, but it is a little more complex. The algorithm favors Prime, and it favors FBA.
Do you think the audience favors Prime or the algorithm?
I think both. And that's the reason why, because the audience favors Prime, the algorithm favors Prime. If you dumb it down to the simplest reason why Amazon would rank you higher, it's because they can make more money. And how can they make more money? If you sell, because they take that 15% commission. And the only reason why they would put you on top is because a customer is more likely to buy. And if a customer is more likely to buy with Prime, the algorithm is going to favor Prime.
Makes sense.
So, and Amazon, this is all a black box. So this is just people in the Amazon space assuming stuff. So you never know if it's a chicken or the egg, but there's a chicken, So
yeah, we got the chicken. We got that much.
Exactly.
Talk to me about inventors with big ass items. We had Cliff on episode 32. He developed this incredibly innovative turtle house, right? Insulated, multiple doors, really taking into consideration the needs of growing and maintaining a tortoise or turtle, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. His item weighs somewhere in the realm of 75 pounds, and his package is pretty long. I think it's over 55 inches on one dimension, like flat packed.
Yeah.
FBA or FBM?
Depends on what you're able to also get with your shipping provider, your courier. So if you're able to negotiate or get good terms, it might be worth it to do FBM. And if not, it might be worth it to go FBA. I think it's always a matter of what do you value? Do you value a couple extra cents or dollars on your margin? Or do you value the fact that I send my inventory to FBA and I forget about it? So
I could say from experience, if you can do FBA, do it, because Amazon is really strict on FBM, fulfillment by merchant. So if you get on Amazon and you're just fulfilling out of your garage and you have a day job and you get an order on Amazon, yeah, you're hot to trot. You do your best to fulfill it, but maybe you just don't get off work. Maybe there's a fire to put out.
Yeah.
And you don't even print that label for 12, 24 hours, whatever the cutoff is. Amazon's only going to let you F up a handful of times before they start putting serious penalties on your ass.
Yeah, that's a very important point and thing to consider is when you're doing fulfilled by merchant, you get valued or you get evaluated on your on-time delivery, on-time shipping, and if you have any defects, so defective products. On Amazon FBA, it won't put your account at risk. It might put your listing on risk.
Right.
So meaning if you have more than X% of your shipments that you ship out late, you can get your account potentially suspended. I've never seen it because you do have time to make up for it. So you do have time to remedy that. And also if you have a lot of defective items, let's say for whatever reason your supplier F's you up and you have like a big batch of defective items and you have a big percentage of those items being returned marked as defective, you could also see your account at a risk, basically, because Amazon is like, hey, you're giving our customers a bad experience. They're thinking it's Amazon. We have to punish you because we want our customers to experience exceptional customer experience. So that's an important point to think about.
Got it. Makes sense. We had Sean on the podcast. I had him on remotely for, I think it was episode 35 or 36. Can't remember. He's got a really innovative product, the Swipe and Wipe. It's a patch you stick on your pants for carpenters, DIY enthusiasts, and you can wipe the paint, the grease, the gunk off your hand instead of damaging your pants.
That's interesting.
I am so jealous of this product for its FBA compatibility.
Yeah.
The logistical feasibility of this product. It's great. He puts 30 of these very lightweight sheets in a pouch, a package, and he can ship. I think FBA is a home run for this guy.
Yeah, 100%.
He can ship in a master carton, which is a case of how many units can go, whatever you decide that is. A lot of people like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever that number is. Just make it under 50 pounds is really or be safe, make it under 45 pounds. I think it lends itself to FBA, and I think it would be a shame to try to do FBM with something like that. Do you agree?
I definitely agree. And it's also something to think about when you're speaking with a supplier, thinking about packaging. A centimeter, a couple inches below or above, or a couple pounds above or below could change your FBA sizing category.
Yeah.
To be like a couple cents per unit more expensive. So the more, when you're selling on Amazon, the more you can optimize for like smaller packages and light packages, the better. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, it's not a black or white. You can do, like we're doing, hybrid. You can do FBA, FBM when you have enough inventory or you have better terms, whatever it may be. You can ship more to FBA.
Yeah.
And also, not all of your products have to be FBA. We're shipping the 2-packs on FBA, but the chunkier 4, 8, 12 packs we're doing on FBM. That's also perfectly okay. And it's also something that allows you to get that leverage of FBA for the algorithm or for the audience and still have some control over your inventory and over your shipping for those chunkier and heavier items.
Cool. Very cool. Now going back to Cliff with the Turtle House, right? 75 pounds, 55-inch package. What I explained to Cliff was, hey, this product's kind of expensive for you to manufacture. You're getting a limited number of units. Maybe start FBM before you really know how they're going to move, because kind of a sucky thing that can happen is shipping 20, 30 units to FBA and finding out that's not even really enough units to disperse across the United States fulfillment centers. So you still maybe get only 2 to 3 day shipping.
Yeah.
And to find out you have something about that product you want to change, and you basically are screwed. You have to have that inventory shipped back to you so you can repackage it because it was missing instructions or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Should he start FBM?
So I think my advice for any new seller that's willing or looking to optimize these situations as much as possible is, one, create the listing, convert that listing to Amazon barcode. So you're going to be printing out, let's say, 30 or 40 labels and sticking them on top of your barcode. You send those to FBA. You onboard them on Vine, which is like $200. You get the feedback from the reviews. And if it goes well, you just sell on FBM, try it out, start doing some advertising. You know, those 30 units were just for Vine, so you don't have a lot of inventory there. So the rest you start selling on FBM, start kind of getting the feel of it, start doing PPC, try to see, what keywords are hitting, which ones are converting, which ones aren't. And the moment you're like, okay, this makes sense, like I can make this work, then you think about doing like full FBA or hybrid again. But I think the good part about doing FBA at the beginning is that you can leverage Vine to also get feedback to potentially change your product. And the reason why I said Amazon barcode is because you can always relaunch the product if the reviews were bad, with your normal barcode, basically.
Awesome. Makes perfect sense. Well, look, man, we're at the hour and 15-minute mark. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask you a really pointed question, and I want to give you the floor to riff. You've loosened up. You've gotten out all the stuff you want to identify, and now we can kind of reflect on it. I want to ask you this. We all know selling on Amazon is getting trickier and trickier. Fees are getting higher. What is going to be the secret sauce to selling success on Amazon in 2025?
I think we already spoke about this, and it's really a reality. If you're not able to differentiate yourself in any way, you might as well not start. It can be an invention, it can be a service, it can be,
regulated industry,
whatever it is. If you're not able to find that to protect yourself against a pricing war, which is what most sellers are facing, you're...
Wait. I saw a video on YouTube of a guy going into Walmart to the clearance section, buying toothbrushes for $4, then posting them on Amazon for $10. Don't tell me he didn't make $3,000 extra money that month.
Did he try to sell you a course?
Well, don't distract from the point, Alfonso.
That's all I have to say.
Retail arbitrage. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. It's such an interesting thing because there's a lot of gurus out there saying, yeah, just what I said, the example I just said.
Yeah.
And the thumbnail of that video is an extra $3,000 per month. True or false?
There's no true or false. I think it can work, but it's another business model. It's competing against other people who are buying that same product. You could have 100 sellers selling those toothbrushes. What's the only way that you're going to get a sale is being the lowest price so that you win the buy box, essentially. And the buy box is when you click on Amazon, you buy something and it says buy now or add to cart, what you're actually doing is buying from a seller. And if there's 100 sellers, it depends, depending on the price, you're going to be buying from one seller or the other. So it's another way of operating. It's another business in and of itself, which is, am I able to get good enough deals to be able to win the buy box, or am I able to find products that makes sense. It's a numbers game. It's a finance and arbitrage game, which I think is a very hard game to play. It's all about numbers. It's not about building a brand. It's not scalable because what you sell today is not going to help you sell tomorrow. With a brand, especially on Amazon, what you sell today, the more reviews you have, the better you're ranked organically, the more leverage you have on your own past sales, which is something unique to Amazon that you don't get on Shopify, for example, the better your chances are of success. And with arbitrage, you're starting from scratch. Every time you're having to look for products, every single day, you're on a constant grind where none of it is actually as scalable as just building a brand.
I'm of the thought I don't care what your methodology is, there's no margin, there's not enough margin in it to make money.
It's a lot of volume. That's what you have to do. Like because it's such a little margin, it's like going crazy on volume. That's the only way to make money.
Right. I mean, let's be generous and say you did buy a toothbrush at Walmart for $1.99 that retails for $6.99.
Yeah.
So the only way you're going to sell it on Amazon is if you sell it for $6.49, because now you beat the pricing game, right? So you got the click, you got the sale. But when you buy it for about $2, sell it for $6.50. Yeah, you're quote tripling your money, but after fees, no, just no.
Yeah, and even if you are making like $1 off of every sale or $2, how much do you have to sell?
You cannot sell 300 a day. If you're thinking I can make $300 a day, you cannot sell 300 of those toothbrushes a day. As you, guy, retail arbitrage, you're never going to have that much inventory. What store do you know has 300 toothbrushes or even 20?
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so and at
that price.
And at that price.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of retail arbitrage, unless you're getting this stuff for free and selling it for astronomical prices, trying to get wealthy off of each transaction, the volume game doesn't work. And that's where you're going to come back and say, I have to invent it, I have to manufacture it, I have to own it, because that's the rinse and repeat model that whether you do it once a day or 500 times a day, the process is fairly similar and you can keep it going.
And the thing with retail arbitrage as well is Amazon, I don't know if it's called this in English, but Amazon buys wholesale. Yeah. Like when you're buying Colgate on Amazon, it says, I'm assuming, because I don't know if Colgate actually sells to Amazon, but it says sold by Amazon, shipped by Amazon.
Yeah.
That's Amazon going directly one-on-one conversation with Colgate, getting probably better pricing that you're going to get in any retail store because the retail store has to get some level of margin. So it's Amazon speaking directly with Colgate. They're the ones winning the buy box. And the moment you drop the price, Amazon's system, I've seen that in the inside, automatically matches the lowest price that they can find. So maybe you get 10 sales or 100 sales one day because you're fast enough, but tomorrow, like, you might end up with like 500 toothbrushes that you're not able to move because Amazon match your price. So I don't think it's a complicated game, and it's basically playing against giants, which is, you don't have an unfair advantage, which you do have if you invent something or penetrate one of those niches that we spoke about. Yeah,
awesome, man. Well, cool, dude. Look, I appreciate it. Where can people find you if they want to inquire?
Yeah, so my email is Alfonso, ALFONSO @agvmedia.com. And they can just message me there or just go to agvmedia.com. We do offer free audits, 30-minute audits for your Amazon brand or your future Amazon brand. So you can just reach directly on there.
Sweet. And you're on the Discord too, right?
On Discord too, I'll be answering any questions that come up with it's Amazon, and happy to answer DMs and whatever comes my way.
Perfect, man. Well, we all appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Get ready.
Man.
The questions are coming.
I'm ready. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. This has been episode 39 of the Invent With Me podcast. Boy, did Alfonso drop some knowledge bombs on our heads. Remember, you can find him in the Discord, which you can get to through the Patreon. And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening, follow the show on whatever platform you may be on. Alfonso has taken the knocks so that you don't have to. Take advantage of it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.